The morning after the gala, Maggie felt the adrenaline from last night still coursing through her veins. She had won. She had proven herself. But the moment she stepped into Vercilles International Academy, the atmosphere shifted. Raven Maddox was there. Standing at the top of the grand staircase, eyes locked on her. Like a predator. "Morning," he said, his voice low, controlled, but every syllable carried a warning. Maggie straightened her spine, refusing to flinch. "Morning," she replied, her tone steady, even though her heart was hammering. "You handled last night well," Raven continued, descending the stairs toward her. "I expected mistakes. I didn't see any." "Good for you," Maggie said, trying to sound nonchalant. "I don't work for approval." Raven stopped a mere foot away from her. His presence alone made the air feel heavier, tighter. "I don't give praise lightly," he said, his voice dropping so low that only she could hear. "And I don't tolerate disobedience." "I'm not disobedient," Maggie snapped. "I'm independent. And I don't bend for bullies." His eyes darkened dangerous, yet strangely intrigued. "Bullies," he repeated slowly, like tasting the word. "You have no idea what I am, do you?" Maggie didn't step back. She refused. "I know exactly what you are," she said, stepping closer until the space between them was almost electric. "And I'm not afraid of it." Raven's jaw tightened. He had always been the hunter. Always in control. But Maggie, fierce, unyielding, unpredictable, was different. She made him feel vulnerable. "You're bold," he whispered, leaning so close that she could feel his breath on her cheek. "I like bold," he added, a smirk threatening to break through his icy composure. Maggie's pulse raced. "Don't mistake me for something to like," she said, voice shaking slightly despite her control. "Not a mistake," Raven said softly, almost teasingly. "You're dangerous. And dangerous is exciting." Maggie's stomach twisted. She hated the effect he had on her. Every word, every glance, every step forward made her chest pound in a way she didn't want. "You think this is a game," she said, trying to regain control. "But it's not. And I won't play by your rules." Raven's smirk widened. "It already is a game, Maggie. You just didn't know the rules yet." The moment they parted, the hallway seemed to vibrate with unspoken tension. Students whispered, sensing the electricity between them. Xander muttered to K.I.O. and Drew, "She's actually dangerous. And he's hooked." K.O. grinned. "Finally, someone who can keep up with the Ice Prince." Drew laughed softly. "This is going to be messy and amazing." Meanwhile, Maggie tried to steady her breathing. She couldn't ignore it. The way Raven's presence pressed against her, the heat of his gaze, the sharpness of his words, it all made her heart race. Dangerous. Terrifying. And yet, exhilarating. Raven cornered her in the library, as if drawn to her like a magnet. "Sit," he commanded softly, sliding a new stack of documents toward her. "I'll work, but don't act like this is your playground," Maggie shot back, defiance flashing in her eyes. He leaned close, brushing a strand of hair from her face, a deliberate, provocative gesture. "You won't back down," he murmured. "And I don't think I want you to." Maggie's breath caught. "Stay out of my head," she whispered. Raven's lips curved, dangerous, teasing. Too late. Their eyes locked. A spark ignited, dangerous, undeniable, and thrilling. Neither wanted to step back. Neither could. And somewhere deep inside, Maggie realized the war with Raven Maddox had just moved from rules and punishments to fire and ice. Because for the first time in their lives, neither of them was willing to lose. Episode 8, The First Strike. The tension between Maggie and Raven had reached a boiling point. Every glance, every word, every step between them now carried the weight of a war neither was willing to lose. Maggie walked through the academy halls, her heels clicking sharply against the marble floors. Her mind was focused. She had spent the night thinking, planning. If Raven thought he could intimidate her, he was gravely mistaken. Raven, of course, was already watching. Leaning casually against the staircase railing, eyes narrowed, as if he could predict every move she would make. "You're late," he said quietly when she passed. "I'm exactly on time," Maggie shot back, keeping her voice steady. Raven's lips curved into a dangerous smirk. "You're bold." "I like bold." Maggie's pulse quickened, but she refused to show it. "You won't break me," she muttered under her breath. He tilted his head, the smirk deepening. Break you? No, I want to see how far you'll go. How much you can handle. The challenge Maggie's plan was simple: strike first. The student council had a meeting that morning, and Raven expected her to simply follow orders. But Maggie had prepared. She had rewritten event schedules, reallocated responsibilities, and subtly changed assignments so Raven would be forced to confront her decisions. When the council gathered, Raven skimmed the agenda and froze. Why are these changes here? He demanded, voice low and controlled. Maggie stood, heart pounding, but posture perfect. I anticipated potential conflicts, she said firmly. This arrangement maximizes efficiency. You can either approve it or override it, your choice. The room went silent. Raven stared at her, eyes dark, dangerous, and impossibly piercing. You made decisions without me? He asked, tone sharp, almost threatening. Yes, Maggie replied, meeting his gaze without flinching. Because someone had to think ahead. Xander whispered to KIO and Drew, she's insane. And he's actually impressed. KO smirked. She just lit a fire under him. Drew chuckled. Watch out, Maggie. That fire can burn both ways. The tension explodes. Raven's eyes flared, and for a moment, the cold, untouchable facade cracked. He leaned over the table, lowering his voice to a dangerous whisper. You're testing me, Maggie. Do you realize that? I'm not testing you, Maggie said firmly, stepping closer. I'm showing you that I'm capable. Capable? Raven echoed, his gaze locking on hers. You think defiance will protect you? It won't, she admitted, heart racing. But it proves I'm not afraid of you. For a heartbeat, Raven said nothing. Then he leaned so close that their faces were inches apart. His voice dropped even lower. You're infuriating, and I can't stop thinking about you. Maggie's eyes widened, but she forced her expression into a mask of control. You shouldn't, she whispered. Shouldn't? He repeated, smirking. I don't care about shouldn'ts. The room seemed to vanish around them. The council stared in stunned silence. No one dared interrupt the dangerous proximity that crackled between them. Aftermath: the meeting ended, and Maggie walked out with her chest heaving, adrenaline surging. She had struck first, and for the first time, she had seen Raven Maddox's mask falter. He followed silently, a shadow at her shoulder. You did well, he said quietly, dangerously close. But don't forget, I always come back. Maggie met his gaze, unflinching. I'm ready, she said. Inside, both of them knew the war was no longer about power or rules. It was personal. It was intense. It was intoxicating. And neither would back down.